Hey, everybody. Thanks for attending our CMMC webinar. It looks like it's top of the hour, and so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll be going through some really relevant information. Through this webinar, we're going to do some introductions. We're going to talk about the big myth that we often see out in the marketplace. Then we're going to talk about what is CMMC. We're going to talk about readiness versus auditing. Then we'll talk about vCISO services, which is Virtual Chief Information Security Officer. And then we'll do some Q&A. If you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. We've got Melanie monitoring the chat, and we'll be answering some as we go along. We'll also be answering some at the end during our Q&A period. We may not be able to get all questions answered, but if we aren't able to answer them during the webinar, we will touch base with you afterwards and make sure that you get a response to any questions that you have. So moving forward, we have Kimberly Simon with ControlCase that's going to be on the webinar with us today. And Kimberly, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Kimberly Simon. I work for a company called ControlCase. I'll be telling you a little bit about who ControlCase is in just a second. But really, my role is to share information and become an advocate for cybersecurity compliance and just basically clear all that ambiguity on how compliance really contributes to your security program. So I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm excited to share some information and hopefully learn from what you are all doing.
And my name's Merletta Moore. I'm with Integris. I'm a vCIO for Integris, which is a Virtual Chief Information Officer. I've been doing that for several years, and I've been in technology for more years than I'd like to admit, to be totally honest. And we're going to take you on this conversation and see if we can provide information that's valuable to you and useful. So this is just a snapshot. Integris is a company that we have brought together several MSPs, and turns out that we're now in 10 states with 19 office locations across the United States. Started with 35 employees, and now we have 440 across the entire company. And what we found is in a dynamic environment like information technology, we just needed a broader and a deeper talent pool and capability to make sure that our customers have everything that they need. And that's how we've grown Integris, and that's what we want to deliver to our clients. Our flagship offering is our managed services, and it's a comprehensive approach, a holistic approach to IT. We do IT systems. We have a dedicated team, service desk, consulting, and we have other services, but this encompasses a full drop-in IT department that helps you manage your IT and security needs from top to bottom. Other services that we provide: cybersecurity services, cloud services, network managing and monitoring, project services, and of course, IT consulting. So we really try to cover the entire breadth of what today's IT service needs are. So moving forward, Kimberly's going to talk a little bit about ControlCase and what they do. And so Kimberly, go for it.
Thank you. Let's talk about ControlCase and who we are. We've been in business since 2004, so we're fairly mature in our space. We provide cybersecurity certification. So we're assessors. We come in and make sure that your security program meets the requirements of a standard or a framework. Beyond that, we also provide the continuous compliance services that you have to do anyway to achieve compliance. As I said, we're fairly mature in our space. We have over 300 security experts on staff. We're a global company headquartered in the Washington, D.C. area, with offices in Canada, Colombia, the Philippines, the UK, India, Vietnam. I'm missing a few, but we're a global company, and that's what really sets us apart. We understand cybersecurity from a global perspective. We have done over 10,000 security certifications in our time, and we have over 1,000 clients across the globe. Another thing that sets us apart is that we value partnerships. There's a lot of handholding with working with us. So we try and understand your environment, the information that you collect, which obviously you need to protect. And we work with you to make sure that your cybersecurity program addresses that and then help you achieve compliance, which obviously provides that peace of mind, really, that your security program is doing what it's supposed to. Another thing that sets us apart is we love technology. Wherever we can use technology to provide more accuracy, visibility, we'll do that. So we have a great platform called Compliance Hub. If you would like a demo of it, please feel free to reach out to me after that. But essentially, we have a platform that helps us get you compliant and then help you stay compliant throughout the year. Our flagship offering is called One Audit. The idea behind One Audit is that we have mapped these requirements across each other. So let's say you needed certification or assessments to multiple regulations, whether it's SOC 2, CMMC, PCI DSS, for example, you would get one set of questions that essentially covers all those requirements. And at the end of that one audit, you would get certified to multiple standards.
It's interesting, Kimberly, because you're out in the marketplace and I'm out in the marketplace talking to clients. And right now, certification and compliance are driving cybersecurity, but we are starting to see it become more pervasive in other verticals and coming from other industries. And there's this myth out there that if I just throw some tools at it and put some tools in place, it's going to be just fine and I'll be able to meet that requirement. But it's so much more than that, because moving forward, security is a decision that should be made at the highest level of an organization and should be populated throughout everything that we do.
Correct, correct. And we find that there's two types of customers. Ones that work exactly the way you're saying, where security is a decision that is made from the top up and they make sure that information is shared across the organization and they do better. They make sure that they're compliant throughout the year. And then there's that company that's, okay, we got to do this. And they may be doing this here and there, but they tend to pull out throughout the year because they don't know how to.
And I think that part of it is just understanding that compliance and governance, it's a journey. It's not a destination. And it's something that is living and breathing and has to be maintained over time. It's not set it and forget it. It's something that is living and breathing and requires constant attention and is part of your business workflow moving forward. I think the other thing that is we're also seeing out in the marketplace is we see people addressing security after there's been an incident. So they've had some type of cybersecurity event and they say, oh, oops, now we need to do something to be more secure. And I think one thing that's really important for people to know is that it's always going to be more beneficial and less expensive to make security a part of your daily workflow than it is to make it a reactive action after there's been an event.
Correct. That culture of security should be something that you invest in right from the beginning, as soon as possible, because the more mature you get, the harder it is then to implement that culture of security.
Absolutely. So here we are at our first poll, and what we're wanting to understand for the purpose of discussing CMMC today is what percentage of your revenue is based on government contracts today. So go ahead and fill that in, and let's see what kind of response we get. Because CMMC is a security framework that is or has been focused on D contracts and government contracts with private companies.
I feel like we should have had some music going doo-doo-doo-doo while we're waiting for them to fill it in.
Like the Jeopardy song or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what was playing in my mind while we're waiting for you to fill in the poll.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So Trina and Melody are on the back end.
We still have a couple more people filling in the
Okay.
poll, so I'm just giving them a second.
Awesome. Good. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff coming up in the chat already, so we're probably going to have some good discussion. Okay, so here's our response. So about 60% have 25% or less of their revenue coming from government contracts. 27% have between 26 and 50%, and 13% have between 51 and 75%. I would say when I'm out in the market, that's pretty representative of what I'm seeing. How about you, Kimberly?
Yeah, that's correct. And hopefully those numbers start to grow for all of you as you understand cybersecurity, you attract more business and grow the amount of contracts that you have with the DoD.
So moving forward, Kimberly, let's talk a little bit about what is CMMC.
Thank you. So this section of this webinar is really just going to be talking through what's going to set up our discussion. So what is CMMC? So CMMC, or the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, is a unifying standard that is for the defense industrial base. So those are government contractors. We are now in version 2.0 of CMMC. So the information that we'll be covering in this webinar is relevant to 2.0, which is the current version released in November 2021. CMMC, there's going to be a lot of acronyms that you'll hear on this. Please forgive us. Our first few, obviously, and then we're going to be talking about FCI, which is Federal Contract Information, and CUI, which is Controlled Unclassified Information. I'll keep reminding you, but if you are a government contractor and you're dealing with any of that, FCI and CUI, I'll explain to you what it is in just a second, then CMMC applies to you. So Federal Contract Information, or FCI, refers to information that is collected, created, or received pursuant to a government contract. So this is information that is not marked as public or for public release. And this is information that is typically used to develop a product or service for the government. So that's FCI, and a lot of the DIB companies are going to fall under that as well. Then we have Controlled Unclassified Information, CUI. CUI really refers to more sensitive information that the government or federal regulations require you to protect. So that information, it could be information that the government has created or possesses themselves, or it's information that is created by the DIB or they possess it on behalf of the government. So CUI is a little bit more sensitive information that you are required to protect. As I said before, CMMC applies to both types of people. So if you are dealing with controlled unclassified information, that FCI, which is Federal Contract Information, and that is in your unclassified networks where you're possessing, storing, or transmitting FCI and CUI, then CMMC applies to you, which is the bulk of government contractors. There are different levels to CMMC, and we're getting there. So you can hopefully start to understand where you fall. So what is the CMMC accreditation body? So the CMMC accreditation body, or Cyber AV, is the independent nonprofit organization that has been tasked to operationalize CMMC. So they have a few things that they do. They work with the Department of Defense, obviously, to operationalize getting everybody compliant with CMMC and providing the training and the information that is going to help us understand the standard and implement it. And then beyond that is CMMC, they authorize and accredit the CMMC registered provider organizations. I'll explain what those are in just a sec. And also the third-party assessment organizations, which is the C3PAOs. So let's talk about the CMMC levels for certification. CMMC version 2.0 has 3 levels. The first is foundational, the second is advanced, and the third is expert. We'll talk more about where you fit, but there are 3 levels in the CMMC. Obviously, the different levels come with their own associated controls and processes that you would need to implement and monitor to basically maintain your compliance with that level. So the level that you fall under for CMMC depends on the nature of information that flows down to you from your prime contractor. So the DoD will, in some cases, specify their required level in the RFIs or their RFPs. But as we know, a lot of people have already started working on their CMMC compliance program, and we'll help you here. We'll have a quick discussion on where you fall. Let me explain the 3 levels for you. The first one is level 1, which was at the base of the pyramid, that was foundational. And in level 1, you are required to do a self-assessment because the only information that you're dealing with is federal contract information, the FBI. So you fall under level 1 if all you have is FBI. You fall under level 2 and level 2 or 3 if you have CUI, which is controlled unclassified information. So level 1 is for FBI, level 2 is for CUI, and level 3 is for most critical CUI. So let's talk about the difference between level 2 and level 3. So you fall under level 2 if your CUI is not critical to national security. And then you then get into level 3 if your CUI is critical to national security. There is no level 8B, 2A, and 2B in the actual CMMC. We split that up so that we could really explain to you your options here. So as we move on to the next slide, we'll start with level 1, which is you have federal contract information only. So there is no CUI in your environment. And in this case, you can do a CMMC self-assessment. You would be required to do that every year. An RPO such as ControlCase can help you with that. In level 2, this is where you have a couple of options. This is where you have CUI that is not critical to national security. So let's say your CUI is not critical to national security and that information originated from your company. So not from the government, that information originated from your company. Then you can still do a self-assessment. Every year, you would be able to do a self-assessment. However, if your CUI originated within the US government, then you are required to go through a CMMC assessment done by a C3PAO, and that would be completed every 3 years. So that covers level 2. Moving on to level 3. So this is the expert on the pyramid. Level 3 means that your CUI is critical to national security. So even an RPO or C3PO would not do your assessment in this regard. Your information is critical to national security, so the government itself would conduct an assessment every 3 years.
So normally, one of the things, if you've been on this journey that you normally are asking about are what are the tool sets? And I wanted to answer this question for you because these are tool sets that we commonly apply in order to meet the controls for CMMC. But I do have to say that those that are successful with their CMMC certification don't start here. They start with governance, and they start with policy. And those that are successful in this journey are governance and security driven, not tool driven. But these are tools that you will see that you will need to meet within your certification journey. Multi-factor authentication for the small and mid-sized business market is probably one of the most effective deterrents that you can put in place against cyber incidents. A security incident and event manager, it provides the auditing that is called out in the CMMC controls, persistent vulnerability scanning, managed firewalls, next generation antivirus. All of those things are in place to monitor your network and monitor the traffic on your network. We also use programmatic controls, GPOs, that allow us to programmatically enforce controls within your computing environment. And then advanced email scanning and hardening of your Microsoft tenant. And those are commonly things that we put in place to help you meet the controls that are set forth in CMMC.
So what is a CMMC RPO? CMMC RPO is a registered provider organization. They're approved by the Cyber AB to advise, consult, and recommend for companies that are required to comply with CMMC. And as I said before, ControlCase is a registered provider organization. So they can assist with level 1 for sure. Remember, when you have the federal contract information only, and they can assist with a subset of level 2, where you have CUI, controlled and classified information that did not originate from the US government. While we're on that, let's talk about what is a CMMC third-party organization. That is the C3PAO. They conduct CMMC level 2 assessment. So this is if you have controlled and classified information, CUI, that originated from within the government, they would provide an assessment every 3 years and issue a CMMC certificate based on the results of the assessment. So the C3PAOs are approved to carry out these assessments, and they have their own security requirements that they've had to meet to be able to do that.
And Kimberly, I do think it's important moving forward that whether you're on a regulatory journey or not, these controls and this type of security that is audited and documented is quickly becoming a differentiator for businesses. You are now seeing people asking very specific questions about what your security is and what you're doing to secure not only your computing environment, but any connection you have to a client's computing environment. And so I know that this conversation started with compliance with the DoD, but I think it's becoming much more pervasive just in the business environment overall because cybersecurity issues are just part of where we live now.
Oh, correct. You can't escape this. I'm sure security discussions are coming up. If you speak to your sales team, your operations team, they'll tell you that clients are asking to understand if you have a security program and how can you prove it. So
Yeah.
these conversations are happening. If they haven't happened for you, then you have time to get ahead of it, but you cannot escape this.
For sure.
This is a great to get into this part, which is CMMC and NIST. We wanted to include this because we wanted people to understand that CMMC sounds scary to a lot of people because, oh, this is one more thing that we need to do. But CMMC really includes the requirements of standards or frameworks that you've probably heard of. And if you've been caring about security for your company anyway, then some of these things you've already implemented. So don't let it scare you. CMMC really the controls from other cybersecurity frameworks. It actually includes all the security requirements from NIST 800-171, and then it incorporates practices and processes from other frameworks such as NIST 853, and going forward into even the domains that are covered. So none of this is new. So next slide, you see the domains that are covered. So there are the 110 NIST 800-171 domains here. And what this should show you is hopefully things that are already part of your cybersecurity program. And if not, then things that you should be paying attention to as you start to prepare for your NIST and CMMC compliance. But this is things like incident response, security awareness training, risk assessment, which is things that you should have, be doing anyway.
I think the other thing about these controls and these control domains is what we are seeing, and I'm sure you're seeing the same thing. Insurance companies are sending out assessments for their cybersecurity policies, and they are taking this as a model. So they're very specifically asking about controls that come straight from this security framework. And we've also seen it. I'm in Kansas, so agribusiness is a big deal out here. And so we're also seeing with our implement companies and other large companies taking this as a model and saying, this is how we're going to build our cyber resilience in this environment. And even if you are not a government contractor, this is still entering your life.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
And these are some of the frameworks that we've been talking about. So CMMC, of course, is what the defense industrial base are looking at, but HIPAA and high tech apply to medical. SOC 2 is a common security framework that we see in the business environment. SOX, which is Sarbanes-Oxley in the financial vertical. PCI, anybody who takes credit cards, what PCI is, it comes out to make sure that you have the proper security around your credit card transactions. If you do business in Europe, then you probably run into GDPR requirements. And Kimberly, I think that the control case approach that you talked about earlier about one audit is really important because a lot of businesses right now, CMMC is a buzz and it's out there, but CMMC is just one framework. And there are multiple frameworks out there, and some of them are more comprehensive than CMMC, and they have much different requirements. And so it's really important for a governance first approach that allows us to understand how and where you do business and what security frameworks we need to be concerned with. So we cover everything, not just one framework.
Correct. And these are all cybersecurity frameworks. So there is some overlap. We understand that. And when we work with our clients, we eliminate that duplication of effort working with multiple companies to achieve these compliance with these frameworks. There is some overlap with all of these, as we've just said, and it's good to work with the provider that understands the overlap so that you're meeting your compliance across multiple regulations.
So I think we have another poll coming up. Yes. And so, question, what other cybersecurity frameworks apply to your business? So we will have that pulled up. Thank you. And thanks, Melanie. Thanks, Trina. I think that one of the things that's really important, Kimberly, is I know for a lot of clients, when they get those surveys, it's a knee jerk. And do we do this? And do we do that? And by taking a governance first approach, it's just another day in the life. Once you go through that process, there's no knee jerking because we know where everything's at.
And then it helps you set your continuous program as well. Because like you said at the beginning, cybersecurity is not a destination, it is a journey that you'll constantly, even after you're certified and you've achieved compliance, it's very easy to lose track of what's going on and fall out of compliance and be at risk and still get into a situation where there has been a data breach. So making sure that there is a continuous compliance program is very important. And in some cases, these frameworks guide you on what you should be doing on a quarterly, biannually, ongoing, everyday basis.
Okay, so poll came back. So a good portion are looking at ISO, 42% for NIST, 39% SOC 2. So we have about 19% that are looking at other frameworks and 11% that aren't adhering to any at all. So interesting. Those are usually commonly the frameworks that we most often work with. Kimberly, is that representative of your client base as well?
Yes, so we find a lot of ISO, SOC 2, HIPAA, and and PCI DSS, a lot of that. And companies that need to do those four actually end up really benefiting from the overlap between the standards.
Okay. So, Kimberly, talk to us a little bit about the assessment process and how ControlCase manages that.
Thank you. This is how ControlCase would manage an engagement where you need assistance with level 1. So you have federal contract information, or a subset of level 2 where you have controlled and classified information that did not originate from the government. ControlCase is an RPO. We're a registered provider organization. So we're able to assist with the self-assessment phase of this that you would need to do annually. So here's how the assessment will work on both the level 1 assessment and the level for the 2A assessment, the subset that is for companies that have CUI that did not originate from the government. So basically, we would start by introducing you to ControlCase Compliance Hub, which is where we would manage the assessment. And we would introduce you to the controls that are applicable to you. So obviously, as you go up from foundation, which is the level 1, and then the advanced, which is level 2, there's differences in how many practices are applicable to you, with foundational having only 17 and the advanced having 110 controls that we'll be assessing. So we'll work with you to make sure that you're looking at the right scope. So we'll help you with scoping, make sure that we're protecting the entire environment or the right environment where sensitive data resides. In this case, it's FBI and CUI. And then we would collect evidence with you through ongoing calls and guidance through remediation with your assessor. And then at the end of the level 1 assessment, you will receive a CMMC level 1 self-assessment report. At the end of level 2, you would receive a CMMC level 2 self-assessment report.
So the question is, why ControlCase and Integris together? And I did want to make sure everybody knew that ControlCase does the audit for Integris. So we practice what we preach here a little bit, and we make sure that all of the different frameworks that we have to meet to serve our customers are in place, and we have ControlCase come in and certify that we are actually managing those correctly. I think one of the real benefits of ControlCase and Integris working together is based on that certification and us in that journey with ControlCase, our clients receive the benefit of inherit from Integris because we do that governance first approach. So 20 to 30% based on the framework that you're managing or working toward. There is inherited compliance that comes from Integris to our clients because we're on that journey. I think that's a huge benefit. Also, I think it's important, and Kimberly, you can chime in on this as well. The role of Integris is readiness. The role of Integris is to make sure that our clients have everything that they need in place. And then ControlCase comes, and their role is auditing and make sure that not only we have that in place, but also that we maintain it in place.
Correct. Think of us as we are the assessor. So we cannot help you with readiness. We cannot mark our own homework. You work with Integris to make sure that all the controls are in place and you're ready for the auditor, which is us, to come in and verify that those controls are in place and they're implemented and they're continuously managed to meet the requirements of whichever framework we're working on. So it really works that if you have a readiness partner such as Integris, you have an advocate for you when you're going through your audit.
So I think we have one more poll. Just interested in, for those that are on the call, how are you managing your compliance today? How are you working through your security frameworks, and how are you meeting those controls? It's a big job. It's a huge job.
It is. And people don't realize that it's only getting more stressful for security and compliance.
I think that it's a moving target. And I think that's part of the reason why we just keep talking about it's a journey, not a destination, because cyber threats are out there and those that are putting them out in the world are innovative. So
Correct.
no sooner do we block one than we find another. Okay. Oh, we have the pullback. So we have about 20% that uses an assessor firm. We have 43% that have an internal compliance team. about 27% that work with Integris, and 7% that are doing it internally on their own, and then about 3% that are not sure how they're managing that. So, excellent.
Great. And this is good to know. As you work through your compliance program, think of having, whether it's an Integris or a control case, as having a third set of eyes on that compliance program so that you're ensuring that it's stringent enough. It's all good to have an internal team and to do it yourself, but it always helps to get another set of eyes to help you with that.
And with several of the frameworks, one of the principles that are out there is separation of duties. And part of what these frameworks stress is trying to dilute the scenario where one person has the keys to the kingdoms.
Yeah.
And as a partner, Integris can help with that and make sure that you have the proper separation of duties to meet those types of controls. One of the things that we wanted to bring up before we get to the end here is the offerings that Integris has. The CI has been a long time offering with Integris, the virtual CIO. And when we deploy our managed services, the virtual CIO is the tip of the spear. We're the ones that are out there and we're working with clients and making sure that service delivery is met. And we're moving our clients forward with technology. And up until not too long ago, the virtual CIO was also running across these compliance needs and trying to address those. And what we found out very quickly was this was a totally different offering. This is such an important part of the business process that we've split it off and we've created the virtual chief information security officer. And in some respects, it's a separation of church and state. You want your vCISO totally focused on your compliance and meeting security and making sure that all of the things you need in place are in place so when that auditing comes, you're ready to meet those controls. And so I just wanted to put out there that these offerings are out there and Integris has invested quite a bit of time to make sure that you have the services that you need to meet these requirements. I think unless Kimberly, you have anything, we've reached the question and answer part of the program. And so Melanie, do we have questions that we need to address?
Yes, we have a few questions coming through. If you do have any questions right now, it's the time to insert them in the chat or the Q&A section. But while we're waiting on more, I just want to mention that this webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded to integrisit.com under the events section. And then also, if you would like to have these slides on hand and if you'd like us to send them to you, please just let us know. But the first question we have here from Brian Rhodes, is ControlCase a C3PAO?
Not yet. So right now we are just a registered provider organization. We're not yet a CPPAO.
Okay. And then we have from Kevin Vargason, when is the next version of CMMC requirements beyond 2.0 due? I know that we responded that nothing has been set for dates on anything past version 2.0 yet, but if you could just expand on that.
Am I taking that? Kimberly, you taking that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Like Melanie said, there haven't been any dates released on when they will come out. So that's something that we're watching. This is a moving target. And I know that I have quite a few clients that have sat back and said, we're going to wait until the next version comes out to see if we really need to do this or not. I think that with 2.0 coming out, we've seen the controls and the requirements be relatively specific. They're holding them, if anything, probably adding to them. And so I think that even though we do expect to see some changes and some modifications, I wouldn't wait on them. I would say, let's move forward with what we have.
And at the very least, you should be right now working on your compliance with NIST 800-171 and making sure that you understand your scoring there as well. So but a lot of you may already have received all of that information on where you should be uploading that information. But at the very least, you should be now looking at NIST 800-171.
Good.
Okay.
Melanie, we will take a look and see if we can find any information about when we are expecting the next revision of those. And if we can find anything, we will send that out.
Okay, thank you. And then a question that came through during the presentation with CMMC 2.0, is government Azure required, or can we check the POAM off with a normal Office 365 tenant?
I would need to take a look at the levels. I think that I'm not sure that it's required for level 1, to be totally honest. I would need to take a look at that, but that is certainly a business decision when to pull that lever of moving into GCC. And based on what your CUI is and what your involvement is, we would need to take a look at what level you're at.
Okay, it looks like that's all the questions we've received. If anybody has any more questions after the webinar, just feel free to drop them in here and we will definitely get you those answers. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. We're always looking to grow our networks. Please reach out to me, Kimberly Simon, ksimon@controlcase.com, or add me on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me questions on there. That's Kimberly Simon, MBA. So please feel free to add me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to stay in touch. And if you have any questions, would love to answer those.
Same here. If there's anything that we at Integris can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out to your contact at Integris, and they will help you navigate the Integris universe and find the information that you need. Any other questions that are submitted, we will circle back around and get back to you. And if you think of anything after the webinar, just go ahead and send it in and we'll be glad to help. Trina, if there's anything else?
Nope, I think you're good. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, thank you for coming. Have a great afternoon.